Hey everybody, welcome to the show. I'm Rantoinette. Let's get into it. Today, Trump carpet bombs Yemen. It seems like he's shot a shitload of bombs into Yemen. He killed, I'm getting reports, anywhere between 32 to 58 people. And I believe he hit a medical center as well. I guess none of this should come as any shock, for somebody who everybody says is a war dove. He certainly doesn't mind dropping some bombs. But I mean, this attack right now is, from Trump's perspective, is that the Houthis in Yemen, who are sponsored by Iran, are blocking the trade paths in the waterways for free trade. But honestly, what this is really about is trade with Israel. And Trump is basically using our military as a proxy army for Israel. Every time Israel wants something, Israel gets something. Donald Trump has gotten, I'd say, at least $300 million just from the Adelsons alone. Sheldon Adelson gave him $100 million for his 2016 run. He gave him another $100 million for his 2020 run. And he died, but his wife, Miriam Adelson, has given him $100 million for this last run in 2024. And each time there is a concession. Donald Trump, there's no quid, there's no pro. There's no quo, folks. I don't know what a quid or a pro is, or a quo, but I didn't do any of it. But every time they give him this money, he gets something. They get something for it. I believe the first time he got elected into office, he got Israel got the embassy moved from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. That was Sheldon Adelson's stipulation for the first $100 million. And on the way out the door, Donald Trump gave Israel the Golan Heights, even though it's Syrian territory. That whole, we're keeping it for the oil, folks. Yeah, the guy's, he's awesome. He's great. He's fantastic. MAGA all the way. Oh, yeah, big time. But now we are bombing Yemen again. He did it in his first term, but he was doing it for Saudi Arabia at the time. But this time he's doing it for Israel. So I have no doubt that this is going to continue, and it's going to get bloodier and bloodier. I've heard reports about the new leadership for Hezbollah, saying that they're going to start attacking American ships because they're firing on them, so they're going to fire on them. And, this is the kind of stuff that leads to a real hot war. I mean, for God's sakes, look, I'm not a religious person, okay? Even though I was raised religious, and I remember the teachings in Revelation talking about the Antichrist. And I remember one of those things, one of those little factoids in Revelation. It says that the Antichrist followers will wear his mark on their forehead. And I'm just thinking about red MAGA hats. But I mean, ultimately, this is going to be a much larger war in the Middle East. And Trump is helping to facilitate it. And Israel, Netanyahu's already talked about a greater Israel. So, he wants Syrian territory. He wants Lebanese territory. He's going through his expansionist arc as well. Donald Trump is doing his thing. It seems like Donald Trump wants to be like all these other guys. Like Russia wants to expand, Russia back to its greatness when it was ruling over a whole bunch of Eastern Bloc countries. And, Israel seems to be wanting to expand its territory, and Donald Trump wants Greenland, and it wants Canada, which I can't believe people think that he's just joking about it. He's brought it up like every day. Anytime anybody ever talks to him about Canada, he wants it. He wants it real bad. I'm not going to get into, why not we get into it a little bit? For conservatives that don't believe in climate change, they certainly are securing a lot of territory up north where climate change is going to be lessened because of the colder climate. So I just find that fascinating. All of these MAGA types, they seem to be securing a lot of northern territory. So anyway, I'm sure that we're going to have more updates on this bombing of Hezbollah and the Yemenis territory. By the way, just so you know, Yemen and Hezbollah and Iran, just keep in mind, those are Shia Muslims. They are not Sunni Muslims like Saudi Arabia. So, just keep those things in mind when you are talking about Muslims, because Donald Trump will talk about Muslims, but there are certain Muslims that he likes. He loves Saudi Arabia because they cover everything in gold and they shower him with praise. So, he's going to like those guys. Anyway, next topic, let's get into the economy. Economy's not looking great. It's looking more and more like we are going to go into a recession, and maybe a really big recession. I remember while he was running for president, he's like, oh, I'm going to fix it in 24 hours. The economy's going to be great. And now he seems to be hedging his bets and, blaming Joe Biden for the economy. By the way, the economy was starting to look up in the last couple of years of Biden's administration. The unemployment was at its lowest that it's been in like 50 years. Joe Biden added millions of jobs to the economy, COVID withstanding. We lost a lot of jobs during that first year in 2020. We didn't lose them. They just, either were fired or let go because we couldn't open up during COVID. And when Joe Biden get back into office, things started to open back up. But Joe Biden created a hell of a lot of jobs. Even though people say that government can't create jobs, he did. He just did. And inflation was on its way down. 2024, inflation was on its way down. And now it's right back up again. Unemployment is back up again. The economy's not looking great. And you got Donald Trump out there saying stuff like, before it was, oh, I'm going to fix the economy. And now it's, well, we're going to have some pain. And I just want you to keep this in mind. When they say we, they mean you. They don't mean him. Elon Musk is not going to be hurting. Any of those rich guys that were standing behind him at the inauguration, they're not going to be hurting. And also keep this in mind too. When a recession happens, the rich get richer. People lose their jobs. People have to sell off property. That property goes down to a lower value, and then the people who still have wealth, i.e., the billionaire oligarch class, they buy it up for cheap. It's that old expression, when there's blood on the street, buy property. And they will be doing this. And you will see everybody else's economy, you, me, the average guy, we're going to be suffering. But the rich will get richer. And then when the times change and the economy goes back up, they'll just have more of a larger share of the wealth. I think they already have like 90% of everything. They just want the last 10 right now. So, but, Trump hates the economy. He's blaming it on any number of things, mostly Joe Biden. And he's screaming and yelling about the trade deal. I'm watching people on Fox News talking to Trump surrogates going, do you think this trade deal is a really good idea? Maybe if we didn't have just a trade war with our closest neighbor in Canada, maybe if we didn't do that, things would be a little bit better. Just maybe if you just back off it a little bit. And then the surrogate will look at her and go, you starting to sound like Fox News Canada. These guys have absolutely no imagination whatsoever. It won't be long before they're calling Fox News woke. But, Trump is mad at the trade deal with Canada. It is his trade deal. The dude was screaming and yelling about NAFTA. I was never a fan of NAFTA, but Donald Trump does the USMCA, and which is a replacement for NAFTA, which honestly really didn't change a whole lot. It was little tweaks around the edges, and then he slaps his name on it, and he writes his little Sharpie on it, and that's his new trade deal. Well, everything that he is screaming and yelling about right now, that is his trade deal. So who is he mad at? It just blows my mind. I mean, I keep thinking about the commercial that he did for Tesla a couple of days ago on the White House lawn, and I'm gonna buy a car from Elon, but these cars are so good. I mean, they're all computer, but they're so good. They're amazing cars. They're amazing cars. And then a couple of days later, he gets $100 million check into the Trump for America PAC from Elon Musk. So, that's a hell of a rebate. He spent $90,000 on a Model S, and he gets a $100 million rebate. That's pretty good. Shit, I wish I could do a deal like that. All right. Switching topics, the Democrats are not doing great. They're not doing great. Chuck Schumer is looking like such weak sauce. And, the polling is out. The Dems are at their lowest point since the 90s, since the 1990s. You got to remember, when Bill Clinton won the election in 1992, I think he only won it for like 45%. He didn't get a majority. Neither did Trump, by the way. When he talks about the mandate, I won with a mandate, folks. There's more votes than anybody has ever gotten ever in the history of voting. He didn't win a majority either. He got a plurality, and so did Bill Clinton. But at that particular point, after 8 years of Reagan and 4 years of George H.W. Bush, the Democrats were pretty much decimated. So right now, the Democrats' polling is as low as it was back then. It is not looking good. Not looking good. And honestly, I don't know what Chuck Schumer thinks he's doing, but he's not a wartime consigliere, to quote The Godfather. And he is not up for this moment. We really need some new blood. God, I wish Bernie Sanders was 20 years younger. He's not going to run for president. But, at 137 years old, he's still more spry than both Biden and Trump put together. He's out there doing his oligarchy tour, But I've seen some polling lately, and the person that people feel like is heading the Democratic Party right now is AOC. And I appreciate AOC. I like what she's doing. I wish she would be even tougher than she is. But I'm seeing people all over the country going to these congressional town halls and talking to the representatives, and it ain't progressives out there. These are some 60, 70, 80-year-old white folk out there screaming about their Social Security. And they're starting to sound like me. So we have the makings of a new Tea Party. That was the 2010 election that reversed the congressional makeup 2 years after Obama took office. And that was due to the Tea Party. And we need something like that on the left. We desperately need that. This status quo managerial congressional Democrat program is not working. It's not. We are just giving away the game. We're giving away the house. And Chuck Schumer he's not doing it. I would love to see AOC take his Senate seat, but we got to wait 4 years for that. And who knows what the voting climate is going to be in 4 years. I don't know. Let's see. What else we got? Trump wants to null and void Joe Biden's pardons. This is a little weedy, but go with me on this. The Republican Party doesn't want government to function. The Republican Party doesn't want to do anything for you. They don't want to do anything for the people of America. They are only there in service of wealth and power. And but they need distractions. They need red meat to throw to the masses. So Donald Trump would much rather Congress spend their entire day prosecuting people that were on the January 6th committee, like Liz Cheney, or going after Hunter Biden and the damn laptop from hell. They would much rather be having that kind of conversation than they would any, fixing our healthcare system, strengthening our social safety net, Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, roads, bridges, tunnels, whatever. They don't want to do that. They don't want to have anything to do with that. Helping you is not their priority, but they definitely need a distraction. So anyway, Trump wants to null and void all of Joe Biden's pardons that he did. He says that they were done by this thing called an auto pen. So they were robotized signatures, as if Joe Biden doesn't have the mental wherewithal or faculty to be able to sign pardons. By the way, I have absolutely no doubt that Donald Trump, when he did his pardons after his first term, he was using that damn robo-pen too. I certainly know that first day he took office and he's sitting behind the Resolute desk and they're handing him bills to sign and he's sitting there with his big old Sharpie and he's signing and he says, so what am I signing here? So don't give me shit about Joe Biden not knowing what he's signing. When Donald Trump knows fuck all about anything that he's signing, they just hand him a piece of paper and they say, here you go, Mr. President, sign this. He's like, oh, I love writing my signature. Doesn't it look like a heart attack? Anyway, so if Joe Biden's is an auto pen, I guess Donald Trump's would be a Sharpie pen. All right, well, I want to finish it with this. Just in case you didn't know it and you weren't aware, fascism is here. And the first attack is on the freedom of speech. Now, the Republican Party have been screaming, yelling about freedom of speech for years now, as if they're the advocates for it. I mean, honestly, what the Republican Party wants freedom of speech for, so they can say the N word, or they can say the R word, or they can say the F word about gay people. I mean, ultimately, that's the only freedom of speech that they give a good goddamn about. But God forbid you want to protest something that the conservative party doesn't like. They will snatch those First Amendment rights away from you in a heartbeat. And that is what Donald Trump is doing right now. He said he was going to do it on the campaign trail, and he's not kidding. If you're not aware, Mahmoud Khalil, who is I believe he is a graduate from Columbia University, a grad student from Columbia University, who has a green card, which means he is a documented immigrant. Documented immigrant, not illegal, a documented immigrant. He had been taking part or helping to lead the protest on the Columbia University campus in regards to Columbia University divesting its funding for Israel or Israeli businesses. And I absolutely have no problem with people protesting whatsoever, but is when it comes to protesting a genocide, or at the very, call it whatever you want, an ethnic cleansing, it's all fascist. And when you see college students out there protesting this and getting attacked by, counter protesters, talking about they were wearing masks. No, the counter protesters were wearing masks. Our fearless mayor, Eric Adams, is sending the cops out there. They're breaking through windows and arresting students for their protest. But look, when you protest, you run the risk of getting arrested. And some of the lucky ones are only getting either expelled or suspended from school or having their degrees taken away from them. Those are the lucky ones. The unlucky ones, like Mahmoud Khalil, they are getting deported. The guy got snatched up in New York. He got taken to New Jersey. And then his wife by the way, he's married. His wife is 8 months pregnant. I saw the video of her as it was happening while they're slapping the cuffs on him. He wasn't resisting arrest. And they said he's being arrested, but they have no charges. They even asked the White House, what are the charges he's being arrested for? They didn't have anything. There was no charge. They are not saying he committed a crime. It's essentially, he says words that the Trump administration does not like. What about the freedom of speech? Where are you at, freedom of speech, guys? Anyway, he is now in Louisiana. Lawyers are having a difficult time getting to him, but that is the test balloon for the Conservative Party. That is the test balloon for Republicans. And I'm not going to call them MAGA Republicans because MAGA is Republican Party. They're one and the same. So this is the test balloon for the Republicans to see if they can get away with this. There was a professor from Brown University. This woman is, she's documented as well, and she has been deported back to Lebanon. I can't remember her name right now. It escapes me. But the reasoning for her deportation was, we found photos on her phone that are sympathetic to Hezbollah. What the hell does that mean? What does a sympathetic photo look like? There was another guy who was coming back, I believe, from Switzerland. This is a white guy. He's got a green card. He's documented. He's a white dude coming back from Switzerland and gets picked up by ICE and taken to a facility where he's stripped naked, locked in a room, and then, I believe he was left there for quite a while. Then he was forced to take a shower in a cold shower. It's starting to sound like torture. This is starting to sound like torture. His mother reached out to try to find where he was and how to get in touch with him. This is all over a marijuana possession charge from like a dozen years ago. I'm just guessing, but they picked this white guy because, they want to say, we're not completely racist. We're going after the whites too. But ultimately, this is a test balloon for freedom of speech. You say something that the government doesn't like, and they kick you out. And when somebody has a green card and they're getting kicked out, that is just a hair's breadth away from, well, we're just going to start sending American citizens out of the country. We're just going to deport them or put them in a prison in El Salvador, by the way, I don't know if you saw it or not, but the propaganda, the Goebbels propaganda type film that they did of the 250 Tren de Aragua, just brown people that they put on a plane and sent to El Salvador. A judge told them, no, you can't do this. They are American prisoners. You cannot send them to another country. But Donald Trump's like, well, they're over international waters, so we couldn't call them and tell them to come back, as if that's an excuse. Basically, Trump is like, you and what army? I'm doing whatever the hell I want to. You can make judgments against me all you want. I am the only voice that counts here. He is acting like a dictator. And they're shipping people out for thought crimes. Mahmoud Khalil, this Brown University professor. Who's next? And all of this is under the auspices of the Alien Enemies Act of, 1798? This is absolutely ridiculous. The last time we used this, I believe, was to lock up Japanese people in internment camps after the Pearl Harbor attack. One of the darkest moments in American history, and Donald Trump is just pulling this up like this is a good thing. I think we've definitely lost the plot, and I wouldn't say we're sliding into fascism. I'd say we're already there. Anyway, I could go on, but honestly, I'm kind of exhausted. Every day is just a new, deluge of just absolute insanity. And Steve Bannon, his tactics about flooding the zone, they're working. We'll throw 100 things out there in the news, and maybe the news will pick up like 3, 4, 5 of them, but we'll get through 95 others because there's no time to do anything about it. And the plan is working. We need more fighters, not just in the Democratic Party, but we need people with putting boots on the ground here. We need action right now. I mean, I'm saying general strike. That's the only thing that, has enough power to to command over this corporate new oligarchy. But we'll see. Sean Fain, babe, let's move that 2028 general strike date up. I'd say we should be doing it this year. Anyway, I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Bye-bye.